Hi VCU community, this is Dr. Simonelli here, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's at stake in this election in terms of climate change and the environment, and well, what the U.S. does from here. So if we think about what this looks like in terms of choosing one candidate or the other, or the implications of one candidate coming out of the other, nothing is really starker at this point. The last 4 years has shown us a presidency that does not take the environment very seriously in terms of what the actions that have been taken, I suppose, against the environment directly, with the clean water, clean air rollbacks and continued cuts to FEMA, especially in a time when we've seen larger and more impactful hurricanes continuously hitting over and over and over again, and at the moment where California and Oregon are engulfed in flames. More so being pulled out of the Paris Accord. Now, it has very huge implications for the rest of the planet, depending on how you calculate emissions based on historical responsibility, percentage of what goes out and how long, and different calculations. The U.S. usually comes out number one or number two. So as the number one or number two largest emitter, give or take, how you rank China, it's really important. Our level of cooperation with the world, whether we're willing to play ball when everyone comes together at the UNFCCC to negotiate treaties forward or not. And with this administration's decision to walk out and say we'll do it on our own, but that in its own domestic policy deciding that it hasn't shown the world that it's going to do things to have a clean environment, has not demonstrated that the world then can trust that we can walk away and then do something like be trusted to hold up standards at home that they think that will be fine, that they can go ahead negotiating without us. Otherwise, for the future, being able to hit levels of 1.5 C, which would save a lot of lives, or 2 C, and cap the warming there, are going to look a lot like a pipe dream. And that's because we're not even quite to 1.5 yet. And right now, the multiple hurricanes at a time, the explosions of methane out of the Arctic, the record low sea ice, all of the fires in the West Coast in Australia, the record floods in Sudan, all of this could look like the good old days if every nation in the globe isn't very committed to making sure that collective emissions come down significantly. And right now, the U.S. in the past 4 years has not proven that we are a negotiating partner that the rest of the world can trust. Now, changing tack, moving to a different administration, that could pose a lot of rebuilding, because unfortunately, while that might provide a sigh of relief, because most countries had a much better relationship with the Obama administration, this is still going to be new. The Biden administration will have to rebuild a lot of bridges. But that would have to happen in order to potentially have a chance. Now, Joe Biden was one of the first senators to put a climate change bill on the Senate floor and have it passed way back in 1987. Yes, the 80s, long before most of you students were even born. However, that doesn't mean that big changes won't need to happen. His climate policies are quite long and intense, and will still need help from the Senate to put these things through, and it will depend on what happens between the rest of the election. This is not something a president can do on their own, but there's definitely a big difference between where each candidate goes and the implication. The biggest thing is climate change is a global problem, and we can't fix it ourselves, but ultimately the globe, the world, can't fix it without us. So for the betterment of humanity, we have to be a player in this, and they really need to be able to trust that we are going to do things and be active in the solution. So the implications of a Trump administration victory means they're not going to know, no matter how much work they do across the planet in other countries, if anything they do is ever going to be good enough. And that's going to be the stark difference between that and changing sides. They're at least going to have someone that they're going to probably feel more comfortable working with. And that's a reputational cost that we've had the past couple of years. And it makes a difference.